The fintech revolution has become a backbone in helping financial institutions drive innovation. Fintech companies have disrupted the value chain in global payments and are actively shifting the market to a digital transformation. According to McKinsey, there has been a 67% increase in consumers who use more than one digital wallet, and the industry is getting warmed up. The increasing expansion of the fintech industry, the changes in consumers' demands and behavior, and the rapid growth of fintech startups have drew the attention of numerous governments, including the Greek one, and the largest financial institutions. For example, in the US, the US is expected to launch its instant payment service, FedNow, while the White House revealed that at least 2 government branches are preparing to begin research on the next generation of cryptocurrency. Having said that, I would like to welcome to our panel tonight Christos Dimas, a Deputy Minister of Research, Innovation and Technology, am I right, Mr. Dimas? In the Ministry of Development and Investments in Greece. Mr. Chris Ciompi, yes, Head of Marketing in Clarity AI, and last but not least, of course, Ms. Efi Pylarinou, FinTech and Blockchain Advisor. I will start with the first round of introductory remarks, starting with you, Minister, and yeah.
Hello. First of all, I would like to thank the Greek House Davos for inviting me here in Davos, and all of you for being here. If we take into account how payments used to take place 20 years ago, how they were 10 years ago, how they are today, we will see that the most important changes have to do with innovation and technology. And I would dare to say that in the coming years, we will see extremely important developments. Now, in the Greek government, we try to focus on policies that will actually cultivate the environment in order to promote innovation. And one of our main policy tools in order to do so has been an initiative named Elevate Greece. Allow me to say that up until recently, the Greek government did not know how many startups we had, in which sector they were, how many people they employed, what budgets we had. So it was very difficult to actually implement policies for the startup ecosystem. In fact, we didn't even have a definition for our startups, so we didn't know which companies could be actually labeled as startups, which companies were newly formed companies but were not innovative, and which companies were innovative but were working for functioning for many years now, so they were not startups. So the first thing that we actually did 3 years ago was to set criteria for the startups, which companies would be actually called startups. And then we created a startup registry called Elevate Greece. And allow me to say that this was a very important initiative because it allowed us to map the innovation ecosystem. But we did not want to do something static, something only as a registry. We wanted to do something much more dynamic that would actually help the innovation ecosystem. So through Elevate Greece, we legislated for the first time specific incentives for angel investors, specific incentives for stock options. And allow me to say that because I heard in the previous panel about the deal that Viva Wallet had, one of the Greek startups, the first Greek unicorn actually, due to in the fintech sector, due to our legislation for the stock options, every employee of Viva Wallet will actually gain 450,000 euros, which I think all of us can understand is a game changer in a household's life. Apart though from the incentives for angel investors, for stock options, we ran a very successful mission in order to increase the liquidity of the innovation ecosystem of the startups, especially due to the consequences of the pandemic crisis. But at the same time, apart from public policy tools, we wanted to bring inside the private sector. So we made agreements with all of the Greek banks, for example, for specified banking products for the innovation ecosystem, with multinational companies that gave access to their global innovation centers they had, free cloud services, mentoring services for the startup ecosystem, useful tools that will actually help the startup ecosystem flourish. I will end here with the initiative of Elevate Greece, but in my secondary remarks, I will go further on.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me again. Thank you, everyone. So I'm Chris Ciompi, and I am currently in charge of marketing, branding, and communications at Clarity AI. May be helpful just to give you a little background on me and then more on the company. So I live in New York. I went to New York about 25 years ago to be an investigative journalist. I did that for about 10 years, and then print media did what it did. So I went to business school and came out as a McKinsey consultant. It's always lovely to hear McKinsey facts, and there it is. I specialize in private equity and going to private equity-owned companies and helping them grow. So when I left McKinsey, that's what I went to do, and I went into FinTech. My first FinTech, I was in charge of growth at an exchange-traded fund company, ETF company. We sold in 2018 to Murray Asset for $450 million, which was a very good day, especially for our founders. And then now I'm at Clarity AI, which was founded by a Spanish entrepreneur, Rebecca Minghella. And we do sustainability technology measurement. So I can get more into that later, but our investors currently, we've closed our Series C, and our investors are BlackRock, Deutsche Börse, and SoftBank are the main investors. We serve mainly the institutional investing audience, but recently have broken out into consumers with Klarna. Are you guys familiar with Klarna, shopping marketplace? So we can get more into that and how sustainability measurement reaches both investors and consumers, but I'll stop there for now.
I'm Efi Pylarinou, and I'm a global FinTech thought leader and advisor. I have a background in financial services. I started my career in the US on Wall Street. I spent 10 years there after earning a PhD in finance and working on a couple of firms on Wall Street. And then I followed all sorts of different career paths. I've taught at McGill University. I've published academic books, worked in the hedge fund industry. In the last 7 years, I've been focused on innovations in FinTech. And I work with companies on thought leadership, from tech companies to those that are really innovating in the space. And I must say that FinTech, in a way, is a mature sector or industry, if you want. At least 10 years of immense growth, of billions of dollars invested in the sector. But there is so much more opportunity and challenges to be solved going forward. And what I'm excited about is the fact that FinTech is really not just about finance. It is about changing the world and the economy and how it works. And it's already happening in two different ways. One is a major trend that is called embedded finance, and that is really unstoppable. And it is all about embedding financial services in non-financial services businesses. You've got a taste of that. You can think of, mobility companies like Uber and Lyft that really have embedded payments. And you don't pay when you get in an Uber cab. And what you probably don't know, in the US, Lyft, which is, the mobility there, they offer banking as a service to their drivers, meaning that their drivers don't need to go to a bank to do all the regular things that we all do. So embedded finance is a huge trend out there. And it's on top of the trend of partnerships between fintechs and banks that are changing the world. In our area, we like to say that Anderson Horowitz, which is one of the largest VC funds globally, has said that every company in the future is going to be a fintech company. I would say that every economy or government is going to be a fintech government. Why? Because payments, no matter what, are core to any economy, whether payments are, Viva Wallet or another peer-to-peer app or crypto or CBDCs, the digital euro, it doesn't matter. They're going to be, core to the economy. So the collaboration between the public sector and the private sector is immense. And it's got to do a lot with payments, infrastructure, and also digital identity, which is very much tied to financial services and to everything that the government does. And I'll stop here. I'm very passionate about this sector, and I'd love to share a lot of trends that are going on. But I'll give it over to you.
Well, I think what you already said, in Greece we are very proud of one of our recent successes. Viva Wallet reached the unicorn stage. And in that sense, how do you think that new technologies will impact actually the way that people interact in their everyday relations, in the way they do their payments, and how do financial digitalization opens a new way of capabilities, a new horizon for consumers, but also for merchants?
First of all, I would like to say that you were a McKinsey consultant. I was a BCG consultant. You taught at McGill. I taught at the LSE. So I feel that I'm in between you. Exactly. That's the nice for the innovation. Now, regarding technology, I want to give you a story of my mother. Okay, my mother grew up in Piraeus, and she got a Fulbright scholarship and went to study at the US. She would contact her parents by writing post letters in the beginning. A couple of years later, she would actually have the capability of phoning back home. Some decades later, my brother went to the US, and he would contact my mother through Skype. So I think we can see a very remarkable shift of communications through technology and, of course, through innovation. I think the revolution is similar in FinTech. And what I would like to add is that it is very important also for the public administration, as you said, because one of the main problems that the Greek economy has been facing in the last decade had to do with the black economy. And FinTech does provide extremely important solutions in order to deal with it. But what I do want to say is that in the Greek government, we truly believe that Greek scientists and young entrepreneurs have immense talent, but there weren't many opportunities in Greece. And one of our strategic priorities when we did become government was to see how we could create good job opportunities for our talented individuals. So attracting important multinational companies to the country was a priority. However, exactly, Microsoft, Pfizer, Cisco, EY, Applied Materials, TeamViewer, Amazon Web Services, many companies. However, we do not believe that all Greeks should become executives of multinational companies. And I'm saying that having been an executive of a multinational company. So our main priority was to actually unleash the talent that Greek individuals have. And that's why it was extremely important to beef up the startup ecosystem. And I think that Viva Wallet is one of the cases where talented individuals started on their own and created this unicorn in the FinTech sector. I am extremely optimistic that we will have many more Viva Wallets following in the next year, not only in the next years, not only in FinTech, but in many categories as well.
So for me, FinTech is about making things simple and secure, especially complex things. And I'll focus on the simple thing first, and maybe I'll do a story as well. So 15 years ago in New York, I walked into Starbucks Monday morning. What was I there for? My coffee and maybe a blueberry muffin. But there was something new on the menu, and it wasn't food, it was calories. There was a law that said in New York, all restaurants had to display calories. And next to my beloved blueberry muffin, it said 600. And I said, oh, well, there's some new information. And it created in me a kind of forced pause, right? To say, is that decision, I don't think I went exactly through this process, right? But is that decision that I'm about to make congruent with what I want to do today, what I want to do this week, what I want to do this year? And the answer was no, right? And some days maybe the answer is still yes, but that day the answer was no. So for me, at what my company Clarity AI is doing, where I lead growth, I can't really call it my company because I'm not the founder, right? But we've recently branched out from investors to consumers to make things simple around how you might understand sustainability within a FinTech experience. So we've partnered with Klarna, which is one of the largest marketplaces in the world. They reach about 150 million consumers worldwide. That to do exactly what I said about Starbucks, that there's something there about sustainability related to the purchase you're about to make, whether it has to do with carbon emissions, whether it has to do with some kind of gender equality of the brand, the company that you're buying from. We have 6 different badges, but it's simple and easy, and it just gives you that extra moment to say, or extra piece of information to say, is this what I intended to do with my purchase? And if so, we continue, and if not, maybe not today. But again, something very complex, it has to be simple and easy for consumers.
I love Klarna, although I hate buy now, pay later. But we won't get into that discussion, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But markets are sort of realizing that right now. I want to emphasize the perspective that, FinTech, as you both said, is mainly thought by most as a consumer sector. So it impacts us, how we pay, our wallets and our banking and so on. But the truth of the matter is that over the last 5 years, it's focused a lot on the B2B level, so for businesses, and for businesses of all sizes. And we care a lot about that because everywhere small businesses are, 80% of an economy, 90%, depending on the country that you're talking about. So we are talking that FinTech has been very important in empowering businesses, small businesses especially. And that for Greece is very important because in Greece we have a lot of small businesses, and there's many digital tools that are empowering these merchants at the same time to serve their customers with better customer experiences and so on. But really, what these tools are doing is they're giving easy and cheap and effective ways to these merchants to get data and information and offer better products, customized products, cheaper, and so on. And I mean, there's many examples of that. Of course, if there's policy that support these, and policy around, crowdfunding or lending and so on, it's even better for these, for the jurisdictions. And I must say that there has been jurisdictional differences even within the EU. If we look up to Estonia as a leader in FinTech because of their digital identity infrastructure, those are great examples, but there's other examples, and I'm sure that the start that Greece, this government, has made in terms of digitalization is going to pay off forward multiple times, and it's very important because it's an infrastructure really that you're providing for more, fintechs, if you want, to be built. And the mentality and the inspiration. I mean, when you mentioned Viva Wallet, and there'll be more Viva Wallets, of course, it's not about, creating another wallet and so on. But like PayPal, and we talk about the PayPal mafia, which are all the entrepreneurs, employees of PayPal that left PayPal and went and created other successful startups in adjacent or non-adjacent areas. The same will happen with Viva Wallet, and it's extremely important. And also, there's a whole ecosystem in the Middle East that is, growing a lot, and Greece has a lot of, if you want, relations with these startup communities, and they can benefit. I see that from the FinTech startups and accelerator programs, that there's a lot of bridges that are built.
Since we have only 5 to 10 minutes left, I would propose to see if there are any questions from the audience. Otherwise, I would ask if we can have some words about AI, OpenAI, I'm sorry. Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
I would like to know what Greece is doing in regards to incentivizing startups, basically, right? Is there a tax incentive or some tax break, or what really is going on in Greece in regards to that topic?
Okay. First of all, I did mention some of the incentives that we have already given. For example, mapping out the ecosystem, knowing our startups. Secondly, we have given important incentives for angel investors. We have legislated, as I said, incentives for stock options, extra liquidity with specific actions, making good use of the EU cohesion money. We have funded through a fund of fund VC funds in order to provide the equity needed to the ecosystem, and we are supporting it year by year. We have changed a lot the way that the spin-off companies operate. We've made it much simpler for academics, for researchers to actually create spin-off companies within universities and research centers. We are also promoting actions for innovation clusters, for competence centers, other actions through cohesion money, EU cohesion money, to link much more effectively research with innovation and entrepreneurship. We are also creating physical grounds of innovation, an innovation district in Attica, one also in Thessaloniki and Epirus, physical grounds where you have startups, spin-offs, companies that invest in R&D in order to create the necessary synergies for the production of innovative products and services. At the same time, we changed the tax super deduction rates for investments in research and innovation from 130% to 200%. And actually, this is the most competitive framework in the European Union, and it has helped a lot to increase the expenditure in R&D in the country. We are also very glad that we have attracted a lot of multinational companies, many we named before, which do help the innovation ecosystem in further synergies. So these are some of the policies. We have given some incentives for digital nomads. So we don't claim that we have done everything, but I think that we have performed important decisive steps. First of all, we know our startups. We know what policies are needed, what their needs are. We are in direct contact with them, and we are implementing important policies that will help them cultivate the conditions in order to be more competitive at a global stage.
Concluding remarks from...
Please.
Ladies first. You know, FinTech, despite a 40% drop in 2022 in funding globally, 40% drop, still it remains the top sector funded compared to health, to enterprise software, to all sorts of other sectors. So energy, but I mean, it's just impressive, despite the 40% drop. So it's really becoming a very pervasive sector, and it's really going to help digitize our future, and our future is digital much more than any other sector.
I guess mine is more of an ask. My sum up thing is to ask everyone in their own e-commerce shopping experiences to keep your eyes open for something like I described that might create that forced pause, that might give you that new piece of information that you hadn't considered before. And yes, you can know that there's FinTech behind that, but really FinTech is just the enabler. What we're looking for is the change in behavior.
Allow me to conclude by saying that our main strategy is to our main goal, more correctly, is actually to make talented Greeks feel sure that they can be competitive at a global stage from Greece, whether that is in Athens, in Corinth, in Crete, in Salonika, or in Yanina. And the fact that a FinTech startup like Vivo Wallet did succeed is not only a very important message, but we believe it's an inspiration for many startuppers and future startuppers in the country.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. 5 minutes break, and we'll continue with our next session with our next speaker, Dimitris Fragakis, the Secretary General of the Greek National Tourism Organization. In between, please have a glass of Greek wine to get into the right mood, and we're right back.